What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to bring you my 1.5 year review of this is a 16-inch MacBook Pro. This is something I purchased on December 23rd, 2021. So I've had it for about 1.5 years now. So I kind of want to go through who this may be for, may not be for. I bought it when it first came out, so I paid $24.99 for it, but you can get it pretty easily if you get it directly through Apple, through their refurbished website for $19.29, I believe is what the price point is. I would not buy this new. I would buy it through Apple refurbished directly. But I kind of want to go through on who this may be for, may not be for. I have not cleaned it. I literally just edited a video on it and messed around with some Lightroom. I have a bunch of stuff open here. I was editing some photos of our little toddler, well, he's not really a toddler yet, he's only 10 months old. So a few things about this laptop. This is probably the laptop I've kept the longest. I previously had a Lenovo ThinkPad, a P1 Gen 2 that I kept for a couple years, but this one I've had for the longest, and I do not plan on upgrading this for probably a while. So I use this for video editing, photo editing, I use it for a desktop. I hook it up to downstairs to my monitor. I do it for just about everything. And a few things I like about it, don't like about it. The first thing is just how easy it is to use. Massive trackpad, easy to use, good gestures, good keyboard. It's probably not my favorite keyboard. I really prefer a little bit more travel and a little bit more feedback, like how the ThinkPad keyboards are. But it's a really good keyboard. The backlighting is not very bright. That's probably the only negative. You're not going to be able to see this now just because it's sunny outside. I don't think so, but the backlighting on it is not the brightest in the world. It works. I don't use it very often, so I don't ever notice that. The crazy thing about this is two things. The screen is absolutely amazing. I have a pretty good BenQ 4K color accurate monitor downstairs. This thing blows it away. So it is 120 hertz refresh rate. Is it an IPS nano display? I'm not really sure, but the screen on this is absolutely amazing. It gets too bright. So that is the brightness all the way up, which will burn your eyes out. And that's kind of it all the way down, but I usually keep it somewhere in the middle. But it is a very, very bright color accurate display, very smooth, responsive. That's probably the big selling point, that and battery life. So I don't ever keep track of battery life on this. It says it's calculating, but it made me charge it once a week at most. And I do a pretty decent amount of photo and video editing on this thing. I probably get 16 to 20 hours of battery life on it, depending on what I am doing. It's worked flawless, and I've spilled coffee on this twice. I do have Apple Care for this, but it was an accident, or toddler, we were eating dinner and I was trying to check something, and I've spilled coffee on this section of the thing twice, and it still works flawless, hasn't had any issues. So build quality is really good. Battery life, build quality, performance. If you're doing photo and video editing, you do not need anything more than this. Honestly, my wife's previous 13-inch, this is an Intel 13-inch MacBook Pro, and it does fine with video and photo editing. It doesn't do as good. This does a lot better with video editing, especially if you're doing 4K files, but it does a really good job with that. I'm not a huge fan of Mac OS. I prefer Windows, but I've grown to like it and I haven't had any issues with that. What else? Good things. It looks really good. The speakers are really good. I don't use the speakers all that often. I usually try to use headphones, but for example, yesterday I was watching a movie while I was eating dinner because the family's out of town and I'm kind of home alone. So I use the speakers on this. The speakers are excellent, better than any laptop speakers out there by a large margin. Apple support's really good. I haven't had to use it, but it's really good. You have tons of ports. So I do like the MagSafe charging. You have USB-C, a couple there, or Thunderbolt, whatever you want to call it, headphone jack. You do have an SD card slot, which I use pretty frequently, almost daily. Cooling. This thing doesn't really need any cooling. I honestly do not know if it's ever got hot. I use it outside. I used it outside yesterday. It was 80 degrees, and I didn't have any issues with it getting hot, warm. I was editing a video and I was playing around online and didn't have any problems with it. So that's really good. What else? You got Touch ID to unlock it. You do have a function row here at the top, so you don't have any more touch bar, which I think is nice. My wife's computer still has the old touch bar on it, which is a hassle if you want to just do general things like turn the volume up and down, or if you want to turn the brightness up. As you can see, this is what my wife's laptop is usually at, dead. The notch, I don't even notice anymore. I don't use the webcam or anything, so I don't really know what the performance is on that. Supposedly the webcam and the microphone on this is really good, but honestly, I don't really know because I don't use that. But the notch, I kind of would like it to be gone and have a less quality webcam and mic, but I understand why it's there for the people that use that. Mainly because I like this pushed up. So really you got a 16-inch laptop, but it really is more like a 15-inch screen. So if you open up, for example, it doesn't really open all the way. So you still have this bar at the top. So really you're probably getting a 15-inch display there. But as you can see, it's very, very color accurate. Let's try to find a really colorful photo. It's just really, really nice with colors. It's really vibrant. It's almost HDR-like without being HDR. I know it has HDR built in, but it's just a very pleasing display. That's probably the biggest thing is display and battery life with this thing. And just it never slows down. Like it doesn't get warm. With my Windows laptop, every time I took it outside, the bottom of it would get like a toaster oven. It's quiet. I never hear anything out of this thing. The battery's held up really well. I'm not really sure I like this aluminum just because of how dirty it gets. So let's talk about a few negatives. So we'll talk about that. The aluminum gets really dirty. Like we have 2 kids, so that's, you know, what it is. It's kind of big. So compared to my wife's 13-inch and compared to probably the 14-inch Air or the 14-inch or the 13-inch Air, it's a pretty big laptop. But if you compare it to, let's say, my work laptop, which is a 15-inch, it's actually smaller than a 15-inch general HP workstation laptop. So it's actually not, when it comes to actual 15-inch laptops or business class laptops, it's actually pretty small. So you can see there, it's actually smaller than my actual work laptop. This laptop's probably 7 years old, so it may not be a good comparison just because of how old it is. But it is an HP like workstation laptop. It's a ProBook, so it's a pretty high-end. I wouldn't say high-end, but it's a business class laptop. A few other things, I do not like the glossy display. I wish there was an option to get some type of matte. It just gets really dirty all the time. Like I clean this thing 24/7 and I feel like it's always dirty. It's probably hard to see right now, but I just feel like if there's any darkness on the screen, it's just extremely, extremely dirty all the time. So here, 20-hour battery life. It says 20 hours left. And that's honestly about probably what I get is anywhere between 15 and 20. It just gets really, really good battery life. Why is all this Adobe stuff in the background drawing battery? I don't know. That's Adobe for you. But that's probably my only 2 negatives is the screen just gets dirty all the time. The keyboards, like everything, it just seems to get dirty all the time. Maybe that's just me. But if you compare it to my wife's laptop, hers is disgusting. So maybe it's just our environment. I just felt like my ThinkPad didn't get as dirty as this. The matte screen definitely did not. The matte screen stayed pretty clean all the time. The notch maybe hit or lose for some people. The price point is probably another thing. You can get a Windows laptop significantly cheaper than this. Or you can get, you know, MacBook Air or something for around $1,000, $1,200 and save a little bit of money there. But overall, I'm extremely happy with this. I do not plan on upgrading this until AppleCare runs out. So I have till 2024, December 2024. So I have plenty of time left. This thing is just a beast. I do a little bit of gaming on it, not a lot, but it runs Civilization, it runs Borderlands. I haven't had any issues with that. Civilization is about the only game that I play, that and Hearthstone from time to time. But it runs those without any problem. I haven't had any issues with it running This is my library here. The only games that I really play, I used to play NBA on this from time to time, NBA 2K, but Civilization I do play pretty frequently, and it runs it without any issues. Why is Civilization not on here? Oh, there it is. It's down here. That's the only game I have downloaded. But I do play this. This is an older one. I think it's like Civilization 5. But I've played 732 hours, and most of that has been on here, and I haven't had any issues. Runs pretty quiet, cool. Doesn't like running it at 4K, like we put it on a monitor, but you can, downsize that to 2K, and it does pretty good. But that's it. That's my 1.5 year review. This is an excellent laptop. All of Apple's M1, M2 laptops are, I think they're the way to go for everybody. I do not like Mac OS compared to Windows, but I love this thing. I've learned to grow to Mac OS. It does do really well with our server, so it does pretty good just connecting to that. It'll probably pop up a photo here pretty soon, but it's just a very easy laptop to use, especially if you get Apple Care, then you don't have to worry about breaking it or anything. If something happens, you can take it directly to. We have 2 Apple stores really close to us, and the one is not very busy and they're really good at repairs, so we've had good luck with that. So that's it. Happy with it. Don't pay full price. Buy it through Apple's refurbished website. There it goes. Connected to our server. That's an old photo, but for some reason, every time I connect to the server, this is what pops up. But anyways, comments, questions, leave them below. I'll get to you next time, and hopefully this helps somebody out, and I'll see you guys next time.